Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Begam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Pujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmajaha Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Welcome back. We're going to start with the first verse of Sundarakanda. When we met last week, we talked about the Vaibhavam or the glory of Sundarakanda. And that was just a short description. There are so many acharyas who've spoken about Sundarakanda in so many different ways. In fact, we will next week most likely talk about the phalastuti, that is the benefit of reciting Sundarakanda or studying Sundarakanda. Now, outwardly, it may look like these are material type benefits, which was one of the questions last week. Now, material benefits are helpful, or material benefits, yes, are helpful when they have a spiritual purpose. Otherwise, if it is meant only for material benefit itself, then it is like digging in sand. Because the more we dig in sand, the sand that is around the hole will fall back into the hole. So you can keep on digging and the sand will keep on falling into that hole. Which means that that benefit doesn't last. However, for a spiritual aspirant, removing obstacles in one's life is very important. In Rupa Goswami's teachings, we hear in the Nectar of Devotion, Kalesha Ghni and Shubhada. If these two are not there, it's very hard for a person to navigate through the material life. So these form as facilities. These are Krishna's way of sending his mercy. And in the Sundarakanda, particularly, it is Hanumanji's mercy in different ways. So we'll hear the glory of the holy name, glory of Hanumanji, the different difficulties that are removed by the study of Sundarakanda. And when those difficulties are relieved, then our spiritual practices become less encumbered or more facilitated. So as devotees, as spiritual aspirants, we shouldn't think of them only in of themselves as material benefits. We should see them in the context of we are trying to cross over this material ocean, and it would be wonderful to have tools that make that journey within the ocean of birth and death a little easier. Of course, ultimately, we have to be plucked out of that ocean, just the way the Supreme Lord creates a bridge, and on that bridge, that living entity Sita Devi is taken back to Ayodhya. So Hanumanji he has decided that he is going to make that mighty jump from the top of Mount Mahindra. It is the tallest mountain in that area, and he has decided that he will go. Now, why is it that there is so much of build-up for Hanumanji jumping over to Lanka? He's not the first person who's done it. Many people have done it. Again and again, ordinary people have done it. In fact, not so good persons also have done it. But we don't hear any glorification of their crossing the ocean, and that too they did it easily. Of course, Hanuman is also doing it easily, but there is so much of discussion and poetic decorations and spoken in hyperboles. So before this, in the Ramayana, Akampana crossed from Janasthan all the way to Lanka. Shurpanaka went from Janasthan to Lanka. Ravana came from Lanka to Janasthan on a chariot made of gold, pulled by those exquisite donkeys and all that. There's no description. In fact, in one sentence, or perhaps not even a sentence, just a reference that Shurpanaka was speaking to Ravana. What is it about Hanuman's journey that makes all the difference? Later in Yuddhakanda, Vibhishana also came. But Vibhishana's arrival is glorified because he came to Sri Ramachandra and his Sharanagati is discussed, but his travel is not discussed. The difference is, of course, Kampana, Shurpanaka are both Rakshasas or in the Rakshasa dynasty, and they have mystical powers. Ravana crosses the ocean in some fancy contraption, chariot, viman. But Hanumanji jumped. So there's a difference, number one, just from a way and means of it. More importantly, it is not whether we cross the ocean or not. It is the purpose behind which one does something. So when an act is purposeful, and I'm going to go from general to specific, when an act is very specifically in service for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, even the smallest act or an ordinary act becomes glorifiable. And without a purpose, without the specific idea of pleasing the Supreme Lord and his consort, even the greatest acts are considered, what is there? There's nothing, it's ordinary. Now, many of us, I'm in America and some of us on the call are from America and others are in India and other places. We have taken these transatlantic flights and crossed the mighty oceans. But it is not glorifiable because everybody does it. Not, okay, we might say, oh, we are devotees. We're going for yatra. We're going for a certain spiritual. Okay, great. But with us, so many people are crossing the ocean, busy eating, doing whatever, and crossing the oceans for different purposes, but it's not glorifiable necessarily. But Hanumanji's act of jumping is fantastic because he is taking the holy name of Sri Ramachandra, the whole memory, the pain of Sri Ramachandra as a message to Sita Devi. So the act of a spiritual master, and when I say spiritual master, not necessarily only Diksha Guru, but Siksha Gurus also. The act of reminding one, the act of awakening one to the relationship back with the Supreme Lord, the act of giving the holy name, the act of causing great hope in the heart is such a mighty act that it requires Valmiki, who is none other than the Vyasa for that time, to actually pen it down. That it takes a Vyasa Deva to write the glories of Guru. Therefore, the entire Ramayana, entire Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but a glorification of Guru Tattva. It is narrated in a story form because there is importance, there's beauty, there's so many other lessons. Both Valmiki and Vyasadeva, at the point of the uh, greatest doubt or greatest dissatisfaction of the heart, is when Narada Muni appeared and inspired both of them. And it is by Narada Muni's inspiration that Valmiki wrote the entire Ramayana, because Narada Muni gave him a very nice, heavy, but compact narration of the Ramayana, which then he completely elaborated. The same Narada Muni gave Vyasadeva the inspiration and the idea of writing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are all benefiting. So it is Narada Muni who inspires and gives the Vyasadeva, both in these cases, the two Vyasas, what to give the living entities. Hope that the Supreme Lord will reach out to us through the agency of the spiritual master, and we can make that contact with the Supreme Lord through the agency of the spiritual master, without which there is no way. Because the Supreme Lord is on that side of the ocean, we, the living entities, are on this side of the ocean, entrapped in a so-called Ashoka Vana, in the Lanka of the body, pining, dissatisfied, unhappy, feeling separated, but perhaps not knowing, does the Lord care about me or not? So Hanumanji decided to go on to the top of Mount Mahindra, and there he looked in the direction of Lanka. And Valmiki starts Sundarakanda by this verse. Tato Ravana Nitayaha Sitayaha Shatrukarshanaha Yesha Padamanveshtum Charana Charite Pathi. In this verse, the only two names that are given are Ravana and Sita. Hanumanji's name is only indirectly mentioned as he who is the subduer of all enemies, Shatru Karshana. This word Karshana means one who subdues, one who puts enemies into distress. And we hear this word Karshati in Bhagavad Gita also. In the 15th chapter, Krishna says, Manasashthani Prakritisthani Karshati. Karshati means subdued or distressed. Here, Karshanaha, one who puts enemies in distress. That is Hanumanji. So we're going to go word by word because every word in Sundarakanda and Ramayana is very carefully chosen. It's not wasteful. Nothing is wasteful. As we discussed at the beginning of Ramayana, that the entire Ramayana has these very, very amazing little diamonds of jewels. And how to recognize that some shloka, of course, the entire Ramayana is full of jewels, is nothing but a jewel, a wish-fulfilling chintamani, but yet there are certain very specific jewels. Sometimes a diamond, although it's a diamond, there are only certain facets that shine depending upon how you're holding the diamond. And it is that shine of that facet that makes the diamond sparkle. Similarly, there are these facets. Any verse in the Ramayana, starting with ta, takara is called, has a very, very special significance. It is considered a mantra. And by that mantra, it brings a extremely strong potency. So the entire Ramayana starts with the tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvim vag vidam varam narada paripapracha valmike munipungava. Sundarakanda begins with the tato ravana nitaya. So wherever it starts with the ta, we know that these are very special verses. It's a glorification of the process of creation. It's a glorification of Lord Brahma. It's a glorification of the Supreme Lord who created Lord Brahma. And therefore, Takara. Because it's the first sound that appeared in the universe before it was created. When Lord Brahma was climbing down the stem of the lotus, it was complete darkness everywhere. He did not know where this lotus stem ends. His only thing he knew was, if I find the place where it ends, I should be able to know. And so as he was climbing down for years and years and years, nothing happened. Then he heard this sound, tapas, tapaha, tapas, tapa. Please take up austerity. It is that reality or truth is revealed through tapasya. So he climbed back into the lotus and performed tapasya for 1,000 celestial years. And that's when he saw the Supreme Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And it is that Lord Brahma who inspired Valmiki with the blessings that you will be able to see all that is spoken and unspoken and all that is thought of by every character in the Ramayana. And you will be able to write it. You will be able to see it in the palm of your hand, in the size of a gooseberry, amala. So it's a special glorification of his spiritual masters. Therefore, tato Ravana. So a literal translation is Hanuman, the crusher of enemies, resolved to find the whereabouts of Sita, who was carried away by Ravana. He followed the path of the Charanas. So in the universe, there are Charanas, Charanas, Vidyadharas, Kim Purushas, etc. He decided to go in the path of the Charanas. Tataha, then Ravana Nitayaha, one who's been taken away by Ravana, Sitayaha, of that Sita, Shatrukarshnaha, the subduer of enemies, Hanumanji, Iyesha decided, Padam Anveshtum, to search for the place or the position of Sita Devi. But to get there, Pathi, the path that he took was Charana Charite, the path that the Charanas take, that is in the sky. But that's just the direct meaning. But we know Valmiki, by the nature of poetry, doesn't give everything directly. There are different ways to see it. So keeping in mind that is his decision, we'll look at the word tata. It means then. The question is then, when though? In Vedanta Sutras, we've heard this many times described by Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. And the word Athaha, now, that the word now is spoken in so many different ways. Now that you have a human birth, now that you've recognized that you need to ask, now in this circumstance of life, you ask Jigyasa about the Supreme. Similarly, Tataha, then, when Sri Hanumanji heard the words of Jambavan and he announced his decision to go to Lanka. Then, when after receiving the ring from Sri Ramachandra, and then he decided to engage in the service of finding Sita Devi. Then, when after being awakened, after being reminded of serving uh, by Jambavan's glorification, he realized that his constitutional nature is to engage all his strength, intelligence, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord for the Lord's satisfaction and the joy of all the devotees. Then, when after understanding that if they did not find Sita Devi, Sri Rama may not return to Ayodhya and Bharata will kill himself. Then, when he realized that if Bharata kills himself, Sri Ramachandra does not go back to Ayodhya, then all the residents of Ayodhya who are waiting there with eyes uh, eager to see the form of Sri Ramachandra, with their ears eager to hear the sound of Sri Ramachandra's chariot coming back, with their noses eager to smell the beautiful tulasi on Sri Ramachandra's body, and gazing every little moment that Sri Ramachandra might return. They have their life air very carefully guarded that Sri Ramachandra will come back in 14 years. They haven't eaten, they haven't slept, they haven't done their household chores. The Brahmanas are not performing Sandhya Vandana, they're not performing yagyas, nothing is happening. They're not lighting their homes, they're not eating, the farmers are not doing it. The whole of Ayodhya is in complete disarray. And if he doesn't come back with Sita Devi, the entire Ayodhya Vasis will die. It is to save the Ayodhya Vasis. It is to save Bharata. It is to save Sugriva. It is to save Sita Devi. It is to save Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana, the Vanaras, and all the families of the Vanaras. The promise given by Sugriva, Hanumanji decided then to go to Lanka and find Sita Devi. Ravana Nitaya. The word Nita means taken away. We hear this word Nita back at the very first shloka of Ayodhya Kanda, where Bharata took Shatrughna away with him. Gacchata Matula Kulam Bharatena Tadanagha Shatrughno Nitya Shatrughnaha Nitaha Priti Puraskritaha. Right, beautiful verse. Gacchata Matula Kulam. When Bharatena Tadanagha, this Bharata, when he was going to his mother's home, Anagha, the faultless, sinless Bharata, Shatrughna Nitya Shatrughna. This, he took Shatrughna with him, Nitaha. And the Acharyas explain the word Nita means taking something as if it's their luggage or property, where the other person pretty much doesn't seem to have a will of their own. However, Bharata's taking Shatrughna is qualified as Priti Puraskritaha, with a lot of love and affection. However, Ravana did not take Sita Devi away with, I guess, her love and affection. We can't even say it was his love and affection. It was nothing but raw lust. However, Nitaya forcibly taken away as if she is his property. The conditioned living entity who has this nature of exploitation takes away the Supreme Lord's property as if it is his or hers. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bhumirapah nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha. Let's see, but the volume is not enough. You can hear me well? I guess some people can hear.
I can hear Prabhu.
Okay, good. Some people are having a hard time, it seems. My volume is full, mic is on, everything is okay. But, um, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, Krishna says, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakriti rashtava. The word bhinna is a very, very important word. Actually, nothing is separate from the Lord. Everything is, he says, me prakriti, it's my energy. But the reason the word bhinna is used is that the living entity sees something as material, earth, water, fire, air, ether, as separate from the Lord. Bhinna. He cannot see the oneness of the energy with the Supreme. And because he sees it as bhinna, separate, in the next verse, Krishna says, Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho. Aparameyam itastu anyam prakritim vidhime param Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho ya edam dharayate jagat. Ya idam, by which this living entity exploits, enjoys the jagat, this material world. So it is in the vision of the conditioned soul, the jiva, who says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, they're all separated from the Lord. In fact, it doesn't see the Lord, it is separated, it's by itself. Therefore, it's up for grabs. Okay, thank you. And because it is up for grabs, Nitayaha, that is the Ravana mentality. It is up for me. Whoever is mighty will take it. And this sense of exploitation, first thing is curbed in the Ishopanishad by telling us, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. This is not yours. It's not for you to take. It belongs to the Supreme Lord. He is kind enough to tell us to accept in the material world things that are necessary to keep us alive so that we can perform the act of offering it to Him. Like we go to the Ganges and we have to offer the Ganges water to the Lord, or we take Ganges that the Lord has given and offer it back to the Ganges. We take the lamp, which is nothing but solar energy, and we offer it to the Lord, offer it to Lord Narayana in the sun globe. Everything that we have to use for making an offering to the Lord is given by the Lord. Whether it's water for Achaman, agarbatti, the fragrance, the chamara, the vegetables, the fire for cooking it, the water for boiling it, the salt, everything is given by the Lord. So we put them together with our devotion and give it back. But Ravana Nitaya means taking away as if it belongs to him. And this Ravana Nita is the mentality of uh, the exploitative personality. Another way to see this is in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that the mind is very, very strong. And through the act of the senses or the agency of the senses, the mind takes away the living entity. Prashabham mana, very, very strong, indomitable mind. So the Ravana has stolen Sita Devi. I shouldn't say that. Let me say it differently. The Ravana like mind has completely taken away and encaptured the Sita, the living entity. Now, from a pastime perspective, we're going to look at it in a moment. But just if we consider from a philosophical perspective, the mind is the one that is the greatest enemy, as we have heard it, not the best friend, but in this case, the greatest enemy. And this mind is the one that needs to be overcome. And for that, the Supreme Lord has to send his representative with the holy name to give hope to that living entity in the middle of being captured by Ram. Then we've heard so many uh, lectures, I'm sure each one of us, about the mind in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So I don't want to elaborate beyond this. You're all very knowledgeable persons, but you get the spirit of it. From a pastime perspective, let's ask the question: did Ravana take away Sita to Lanka? The answer is yes, at least that's how it is narrated. But can Ravana take Sita away? The answer is no. So the real understanding is, although it looks like Ravana took Sita to Lanka, actually it is Sita who took Ravana to Lanka. And it is because Sita took Ravana to Lanka, Ravana's end coming up soon. Because she is the one that orchestrates the entire pastime of the elimination of Ravana and all the Rakshasas. But it cannot happen in her presence. We will see in the entire Ravana, so in the Ramayana so far and later, whenever Sita Devi is present, no Rakshasa is killed. Only in her absence, the Rakshasas are killed. Whenever she is there, they're forgiven for the greatest of offenses, because it is that mood of Sita Devi, which is also the mood of Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that spirit. But he did not kill any Rakshasas or evil persons. He only transformed them. He forgave them. Mamo Namo Mahavadanya. Krishna Prema. He gave everyone the love of Krishna. And Sita Devi also, she told everyone about Sri Ramachandra only. But Rakshasas have to be killed as part of the pastime. So whenever she's not there, that's when it happens. But Ravana's end is brought by Sita Devi. So she gives him ample warnings and teachings and all. So he gets the mercy of Ramachandra differently. But it is Sita Devi who brought. Sometimes we travel with our deities and we say, oh, I'm going to such and such. My deities are going with me. Oh yeah, that's true. We put them in a box or a place that's comfortable for them and travel with them. But the real question is the deity traveling with me? Am I taking the deity with me, or is the deity taking me from one place to another? It's the spirit. It's spirit that moves matter, not the other way. In our college presentations, we would always ask students when we talk about the soul. When I walk from this corner of the room to that corner of the room, am I carrying the soul from here to there, or is the soul carrying my body from here? And most people say, "Oh, I'm moving, so my body is taking my soul there." No, without the soul, the body can't move an inch, can't budge, can't protest, can't think. It is the soul that carries the body. Yet, the power of Vishnu Maya is such that it seems that the mind has taken over the soul. So, when people struggle with their minds, which not just people, we all are victims of the play of the mind this way or that way. The question to ask is, am I more powerful than my mind or not? The answer is yes, we all are. But it seems like Ravana Nitaya, that Ravana has taken away. And the struggle is thinking that the mind is bigger. Recently, in an exchange with someone, there was this phrase that when a person focuses on the fear that they have, the nature of fear is that it only tells us everything that can go wrong. But if the consciousness is diverted towards the Supreme Lord, then that confidence in the Lord will tell us that under all circumstances, it will always end well for us because our focus and attention is with the Lord. So the Lord is with us. And where He is, or I should say, where they are, there is no suffering. Although the path may look like that, but it is. So it's up to us as living entities where our attention is. Is it in fear or in the supreme couple? Whether it is in how strong my mind is or how strong the Supreme Lord, his consort, and his representatives are that can help me tide over. Then Valmiki uses the word Sitayaha. He refers to her as Sita. He doesn't use Vaidehi, Janaki, or any other name, but the word Sita. There are multiple reasons why Sita. Because the word Maithili would mean the descendant of the king of Mithila. Janaki would mean she's the daughter of uh, Janaka Maharaja. But Sita directly refers to the wife of Sri Ramachandra because at their marriage, Janaka Maharaj placed Sita Devi's hands in Ramachandra's hands and said, Iyam Sita Mama Suta Sahadharma Charitava. This Sita is yours. Praticha che enam te panim grinhishva paninam. Please accept Sita as your wife. So that's what. So it is directly got to do with relationship with the Supreme. So we all may have families. This is my father, that's my mother, that's my, in my previous life, right, my fathers and mothers. All that may be true. But the actual reality is that those truths are relative. But the absolute truth is that the living entity belongs to the Supreme Lord. We are all wives of the Supreme Lord. Because Krishna says, Mama aparameyam prakritim vidhi me param. There is another prakriti of mine called Jiva. So we're all wives or consorts of the Supreme Lord, constitutionally speaking. Therefore, Sita. The very meaning of the word Sita is the reason she was given the name Sita is when a farmer has a plowshare, the very tip of that plowshare, the plow that he carries, the tip of it which touches the ground and plows the ground, that tip is called Sita. So Janaka Maharaja was a great devotee and yogi, used the plowshare to till the land. Land in Sanskrit is called Kshetra. And when he was plowing the land, he found Sita Devi. So he called her Sita because that tip was the agency or medium or tool by which he found her. So this human body is also a kshetra, a field, right? Field of activities. Krishna calls it in Bhagavad Gita, kshetra. And when this kshetra is plowed by the means of yoga or sadhana, under the guidance of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, Buddhi, it is through that Buddhi, using the means of sadhana, under the guidance of the spiritual masters, one finds the soul, Sita. Therefore, and it is that soul that is entrapped by Ravana. So the word Sitaya is the best fitting word here. Then he goes to calling Hanumanji Shatru Karshana. Not by his name, Hanuman. We heard that previously. Now, in connection to the last verse of Kanda, right, which is the one before this, we heard different names or adjectives for Hanuman. We heard Vegavan because he had the velocity or the speed or the momentum. We heard the phrase Haripravira, Paravira Hanta, Mahanubhava, Manasvi, Shatrukarshana. Because these are all the qualifications of an acharya or the spiritual master. They are endowed with these qualities. Vegavan, in this case, Hanuman is called Vegavan because he is very forceful. We hear the word Vega by Rupa Goswami. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. Vega is force. The spiritual master has the force with him. The force is that it is the instruction of the Supreme Lord, the empowerment that makes them very, very, I shouldn't say forceful, but full of force to able to cut through the coverings of dark matter around our consciousness. Hari Pravira, the best of heroes who are of the family or belonging to the Supreme Lord. In the 15th chapter, we hear Va Vimau Purushau Loke Ksharascha Kshara Evacha. In this material world, there are two categories of persons. One who are accustomed to falling, and those who don't fall. Kshara Akshara Evacha. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani. All the living entities are fallible or in the material world. Akshara Kutastha. But the infallible, we call them Nitya Siddhas. They are the best of the heroes. Hari Pravira. They are heroes because they are not affected by the material world. Paravira Hanta. They face off with our ahankara, our ego, our mind, our dull consciousness. They are able to hanta, they are able to remove, kill it. So that the true mind, the true buddhi, and the true ego that I am the servant of the Supreme Lord is fully glowing. Maha Anubhava. We discussed this, I'm not going to go in detail. Great person or person in great ecstasy. Manasvi, very, very thoughtful, very clear, very well thought out strategy of how to release the living entity from the clutches of matter. We'll see Hanuman's Manasvi strategies that he does, the way he speaks to Sita, the way he enters Lanka, the way he interacts with all the obstacles, the way he talks to Ravana, the way he returns back, all of that, Manasvi. Prabhupada, our spiritual masters, the gurus in the parampara, the great, great sung and unsung heroes, are very, very excellent strategists who can remove the clutches of mind or matter from the living. Now, Shatrukarshana, he has subdued all of his internal enemies because a person has both enemies outside and inside, and the more difficult ones are the ones inside. And so these are the 6 enemies as we know: Kama, Krodha, Madamatsarya, Moha, Labha. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madamatsarya. By saying that they are subduers, it doesn't mean that he has killed them. It means he uses them in different ways in the service of the Supreme. He transforms the enemies into friends. He transforms lust into love. He uses anger for the purpose of his own purification, for the welfare of others. Moha, he becomes completely bewitched and bewildered and completely enamored by the form, name, aspects, pastimes of the Lord, etc. Matsarya, envy, one may say there is no place for envy, but the envy is used as a tool for enhancing one's own service and inspiration when he or she sees someone else serving very nicely. Prabhupada called it spiritual competition. So the spiritual competition is not that I want to do better than them, but the spiritual competition is I am inspired by them. Because envy by nature says, oh, I want to be better than them and I want to push them down. But a spiritualized envy, if you will, is that I want to serve like them. I compete with my own mind and its features to overcome them. Traigunya Vishaya, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. You compete with your own fallacies to transcend them. So they are not to be eliminated, but dovetailed or spiritualized in service. And I'm just someone who knows only a mustard seed word. This is like the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that can be spoken apparently for many, many, many days and months. I don't have it. But whatever is there is wonderful. So this first chapter and first verse and chapter of Sundarakanda is an explanation of Hanumanji's activities in preparation to go to Lanka. So these verses that we're going to hear are also to be understood as how one prepares oneself to take on the service of helping others to become extricated from matter. Specifically, it's the preparation of how a guru qualifies himself or herself to become a transparent via medium. But it's not just someone else's job. We have been ordered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Each one of us is supposed to help someone else in this journey. So what is the method of preparation? What is some things that the spiritual masters do and what each one of us can do to become purified? Now, Hanuman is already purified, but this is the Acharya's qualification by which they are great and they become good. Okay, Shatru Karshana. Then the word Iyesha. Iyesha means he decided. This word Iyesha is also known as Sankalpa or intention. Without intention, none of the other things are helpful because intention, success begins with intention. You take any yajna without intention, yajna cannot be performed. There's a very specific sankalpa actually spoken for every yajna. You're supposed to do achaman, place your left hand on your right thigh with the right hand on top of it and express your sankalpa. That generally they say Adya Brahmane Dvitiya Pararthe, in this day of Brahma, the second part of his day, Shveta Varaha Kalpe, the day called Shveta Varaha Kalpe. Then we say the name of the year, Vaivasvata Manvantare, Kali Yuge, Pratama Pade. Where am I situated? America Khande or Bharata Varshe, Bharata Khande, Mero Hudakshana Digbhage, etc. I mean, we may not say like that every day, but ideally one must. And then they said, what am I doing? I'm reciting this Ramayana, I'm reciting Bhagavad Gita, I'm reciting Rama Raksha Stotra for Sri Rama Prityarthe, for the pleasure of Sri Ramachandra. I'm chanting the holy name, I'm reciting or studying the scriptures, I'm serving the spiritual master, I'm serving the devotees for their pleasure. Prityarthe, jape, viniyogaha. I'm engaging myself in this japa for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And when I say the Supreme Lord, it automatically means and his consort, because without his consort, the Supreme Lord's qualities are not manifest to any living entity. Iyesha, Sankalpa. And this without intention, absolutely no way can a person have any success. Because if you don't have an intention, you ask someone, why are you doing anything? People won't know why. I mean, people have different sankalpas. But here, Iyesha Padamanveshtum is very, very clear that Iyesha is combined with the word Tataha. Otherwise, Iyesha means, oh, I'm going for a pleasure trip to Lanka. I'm going for some other reason. I'm going so that my name will be in Ramayana for all eternity. No, Tataha Iyesha. He decided because of all the reasons we said earlier. Padam Anveshtum, for searching out Padam. Now the word Padam has also multiple meanings. Padam means position or the location. Sita Devi's location had to be identified. He knew that she is in Lanka because somebody said, oh, she's in Lanka. Where? No idea. Is she in the palace? Is she in the forest? Is she in the Hanuman? Don't know. So where in the body is the soul? When the consciousness is spread everywhere. He said, in the area of the heart, or in the region of the heart. So he has to search for her. We have to search for the living entity, for our own Atma. Therefore, in Bhagavatam, we hear that a person sees the soul. Chidyate hridaya granti, vidhyate hridaya granti, chidyate sarva samshaya, kshiyate kshiyate samshaya sarvani, drishta eva atmanishwara. Drishta eva, he is able to see. So he has to see, but he has to have that intention. Otherwise, if I don't have an intention that I want to become pure, I want to be able to see the Supreme Lord, I want to be able to serve the Supreme Lord and his consort and his devotees, all of our engagement will not bear fruit. So Sankalpa is very, very. Iyesha Padam Anveshtum. So word Padam also means foot or feet. Padav is by both his feet. Padam is the feet. You can say you're searching for this for Sita Devi's lotus feet. Poetically said, that Sita Devi's lotus. Another way is to know the condition of the living. You need to know. The Supreme Spiritual Master will want to know what's the condition of this living. Padam Anveshtu. Okay, how should I go? Go on a bulldozer, get on a plane, swim, take some other means, conveyance? No. Charana Charite Pati. The path he took is the one that the Charanas take. Charanas are those who fly in the sky. Hanuman did not take the path of the water. Why? Because it shows that the spiritual master, the great personalities, they do not belong to this world. So they don't belong to be in the ocean. They are not touched by the waters of the material ocean. They fly in. And the charana means those who move about. And he took that path, the aerial path, because that is the path that is shown by the previous acharya. So Charana Charite Pati means the path of the Charanas, or the path of the great wanderers, or the path of the great acharyas who don't have any business in Lanka like material world, but they come here simply to extricate the living entities out of the material quagmire. So Hanuman is not creating his own path. He's following the path of previous acharyas. This is disciplic succession. This is the method. And Rupa Goswami reminds us in Nectar of Instruction again and again. That we have to follow the path of the great persons. Sato vritte. Vritti means occupation actually. So vritte means the way they come up, the way they live. Sato vritte. We follow, we emulate, we live in the style of the previous acharyas. This is the principle of disciplic succession. One cannot be a guru without following disciplic succession. Wherever there's no disciplic succession, whether their name is guru, whether others call them guru, they will not be. They cannot be. Even Hanumanji was directly the ring of Sri Ramachandra in his hand, followed the path of the previous acharyas. However great they may be, if they don't follow the path of the previous acharyas, they cannot be considered empowered enough to find and extricate the living entity. This is how wonderful and powerful disciplic succession is. Charana charite. Another word, charana charite, means those who wander around. Charita means to wander or move about. Charana charite, those who wander about the feet of the Supreme Lord. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on our behalf telling us, pick me up and place me as an atom at your lotus. That feet of the Supreme Lord are the ultimate shelter for all living beings. And the great acharyas are empowered because those feet are the ones that say, bring those living entities. So they're all wandering around the feet of the Supreme Lord. That's the path he took. I don't have time, but as soon as we talk about the Lord's feet, we have to talk about the Lord's shoes and padukas, but not today, some other time. So let's pause here and see if there are any comments, questions, concerns. I'm sorry, I kept on talking. I didn't realize the time. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Anyone wants to share? I'm sure each one of you is reading your own study of Sundarakanda. I'm happy to hear and receive. Silence. I have been told that I've been told that I have a voice that can cure insomnia. So I hope it has not come true. Yeah, Archana.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, the nectar. Prabhu, I think I missed one point when you mentioned when Hanuman crossed the ocean, um, he followed the acharyas. So is it because like he took the path of Shanaras? Is that how he followed the acharyas? I mean, am I getting that? Okay.
Charana Charitapati means he did not. It is poetically. So first, Charana Charita means the Charanas fly in the sky. So he decided to jump and go take their path. Just that's the direct meaning. He didn't swim. But the philosophical meaning is that he does not belong to the material world. So the waters of the material ocean cannot touch him. He is untouched by the waters of the material ocean.
Wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Prabhu, can I ask one more question?
Sure. There's no one
So,
else.
Prabhu, is there any like what book of Ramayana is kind of so just like our Srimad Bhagavatam, is there any print that is that has like many volumes that we can study through with children?
Yeah, children. Yeah, I mean there are Any place you can find books of Ramayana, no doubt. There is a devotee by the name Shubha Vilas Prabhu who's written books both for
Yeah,
Ayodhya.
we have his questions, but like the shloka translation purport.
Shloka translation, there is a devotee by the name Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu.
Okay.
He is very, very specially empowered. So he has done Balakanda, Ayodhya Kanda, possibly Aranya Kanda. Each has 4 volumes. So you can study verse by verse. Particularly, he has translated the commentary of Govinda Raja with Prabhupada's teachings interlaced into it, which is fantastic. I would recommend that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, next someone, Sanatan Goparajadas. Hare Krishna. Sanatan Gopa Prabhu. All right. I think his phone.
I am not. I am talking mute. Now, am I audible?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the nice class. Actually, they say no. Actually, the Sita who went with Ravana is not actual Sita. Somebody else, like Vedavati or somebody, they say, because this material Baudik person cannot touch Radharani. It is not possible. So that so it was arranged that somebody else went along with Ravana. Is it given in Valmiki Ramayana or some in some other scripture? Hare Krishna.
In the Kurma Purana, there is a reference. We talked about it when we were in Aranya Kanda. We went through a whole discussion on it. It is there in Kurma Purana, and it has certain significance that yes, Ravana cannot touch Sita Devi, which is also true. I have a different realization of it. Not different. I have another realization of it as well. And so yes, in Valmiki Ramayana, it's not necessarily quoted like that. There's only so much you can say in 24,000 verses. And other Ramayana verses like Adhyatma Ramayana, Ananda Ramayana, they have Padma Purana, etc., Kurma Purana. Everyone has a take on it, and they're all fantastic.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
It is one of those that Krishna does not leave Vrindavan. So the Krishna that went to Mathura and Dwaraka is a different Krishna, is Vasudev Krishna. I mean, it has a rasa meaning to it, but it does not diminish or reduce the Lord in any way or any kind. But anyway, that's a different discussion, not for today. Stira?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Stira?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I like the explanation where you said that why Hanuman is being glorified, but not many other people who also crossed the ocean. And then the glory is that the intention that Hanuman is carrying in his heart, the pleasure of Lord Ramachandra. In my own life, to practice this, I find it difficult in the sense that two parts. One is although I try to do something, I have the blessings. I'm trying to keep the intention at the center, but then I'm also aware that there is a mixture for sure, and I have a great discomfort to move forward because I see this mixture in the first place, and when I do it and then say suppose it is being glorified, then also I have discomfort to like keep a part of it and say, oh yeah, I did it, versus give the whole thing saying who am I, meaning what qualification or ability I have to do things. Meaning, I see myself going like back and forth and not like strongly grounded in saying, oh yeah, the glory is for the Lord. So like my question is, knowing that there is a mixture, how to not hesitate to move forward, and then when the glory comes, then how to be situated in saying, yeah, this belongs to the Lord, it does not belong to me. If you could kindly share.
So let's three things maybe. First, always look at the big picture. Always look at the big picture. Big picture means not the particular circumstance, but in general, wherever we and how far we have come, and by whose grace we have come this far. Number one, always big picture. Second, we should have that struggle any day, then not have a struggle at all. For example, if someone glorifies me, and if I don't have any struggle of, oh, they told me and I like it, but actually it belongs to the Lord, there is this mixture, that struggle is an indicator that there is a nice, lovely devotee blossoming in the heart. Because the other side is, if people glorified me and I said, all because of me, would I rather have that or I'd rather have a struggle? I'd rather have a struggle. The struggle is a good indicator. It's a good indicator that there is a devotee blossoming in us. If there's no struggle, then there's no devotee there. So it's good. That's great. And that struggle is what the Lord sees and has a nice smile on his face. But here's one whose conditioned nature says, I did it. The other's nature that is blossoming says, no, the Lord did it. It brings a smile. That's nice. So go with it. Go with it. As hard as it might be. One day we might say, I did it. 1 week later, we're like, my God, how did I think I did? It's the Supreme Lord's mercy upon me. That is those are the little thrusts of success that push us further or make us purer. That's great. Struggle is better than no struggle at all. Good. Congratulations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hold on.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you so much.
It was just a follow-up question to Sita Mataji's question that how can, let's say, a conditioned mind says, hey, I did this, but how can, I'm not trying to judge or doubt anyone, but how can we say that, okay, in one part of the mind, we have that I did it. And in other part of mind, we're saying that, oh, it's not me, it's Guru and Krishna. Is it not something like duplicitous?
No, it's a struggle. It's depending on where you're standing. One day we're standing on this side, things look like this. One day we stand on that side, the same thing looks different. It's called frame of reference. So we change our frame of reference, so our vision changes. And second, there is no harm in saying I did it. There is harm in saying only I did it. So according to Bhagavad Gita, Karta aham iti manyate is referred to, I am the only doer. When there are two other doers also. The Prakriti is a doer in the 5th chapter, and Krishna says, I'm also a doer. But all three act together. That is the glory, not independent. Or to think that I acted independently of the material energy or the Supreme Lord. That is called Ahankara Vimudha. But a person can say, oh, by Krishna's inspiration, by the facility of the material world, I was able to offer some service. Nothing wrong. So the karta of the living entity is a karta by sankalpa or desire. Therefore, Iesha. The material energy is a karta by the facility, favorable winds, the facility, everything that we have. And the Lord is the karta by grace. Without his grace and sanction, nothing can. You're a book distributor. You have a car. You drive from one side of the country to the other side of the country. Your desire is there to distribute the books. Therefore, you go. It's not that your desire is not there. Or you may say, it's not my desire, it was my spiritual master's desire. Yes, but you agreed to it, so your desire is also there. And the Supreme Lord's energy facilitates it by keeping your car safe, by keeping you safe, the engine is running, whatever. You have a place to stay, money that comes through your hand so you can eat food, whatever. And it's the Supreme Lord's grace, the sanction that makes all of this happen. So all three are doers, not just one.
Yes, now it makes so sense. Karta karana kartatve. I was understanding this. I now understand that how this works.
Yes.
It is not only desire, but it's favorable winds and Supreme Lord mercy also. All three play very important role.
Exactly. All
Thank
three
you.
are doers.
In the sense, then fire, Panchaitani Mahabaho, right? The fire doer, then, right? Or three.
Now, when we come in Sundarakanda to a place where Sita Devi will glorify Hanuman, wow, only Garuda, Vayu, and you have this ability, and you should see his answer is unbelievable, unbelievable lesson in being humble. When glorified by that consort of that Sita Devi, and we'll see Hanuman's answer. So wait, put on your seatbelts. We'll wait for that.
Thank you so very much.
I have work to do. Any final burning question, or can I go? All right. Thank you very, very much. You have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully the wonderful form, features, amazing personality of Hanumanji, may he completely occupy our minds and hearts and guide us in our life, the big ones, the big decisions, the small decisions, and the day-to-day ones. That we emulate his wonderful, wonderful example of taking on a mighty service for the pleasure of Sri Ramchandra and Sita Devi. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada